The title track of the album is one of the earliest Bowie classics. Its stature grew over the years, and it's only right that it did. For this is one of his most foretelling records, revealing what the young man aspired to achieve, and, in hindsight, achieved in full. It's a glimpse into the formation of a dream by one of the 20th century's greatest visionaries, and it begins with a chance meeting.
We passed upon the stair. We spoke of was and when, although I wasn't there. He said I was his friend.
The opening stanza paraphrases Hugh Mearns' famous poem Antigonish, which begins with, "Yesterday upon the stair, I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. I wish he'd go away." The poem is about a haunted house, and the man who wasn't there is a ghost. But here, the protagonist himself is the one who isn't there, which surely means that he feels like he is living a false existence, as if he was merely a ghost of a man. The other man is apparently an authentic person, and unlike the man in the Mearns poem, he is not frightened by the non-entity he meets, but speaks with him at length and assures him that he is his friend.
Which came as some surprise. I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died alone a long, long time ago.
The protagonist grew up in a culture that taught him that it is useless to try to go your own way, and that it is better to conform and accept the identity that society imposes on you. This culture is full of stories that provide examples of people who did go their own way, and ended up miserable or dead. Therefore, he is surprised to find this man before him, a man who did not bow to society's dictations, and still managed to stay alive and well for so many years. But the answer comes. What the man tells him is, yes, it is possible. You can go your own way, not selling your soul to the system, and still survive and remain happy. You can fool them all, and you can keep doing so for many years, maybe for the rest of your life. The name The Man Who Sold the World is probably inspired by Robert Heinlein's 1950 sci-fi novella, The Man Who Sold the Moon. Heinlein's story is about a man obsessed with reaching and controlling the moon, so he builds a financial and technological empire to realize his ambition, only to be held back eventually by his obligation to this empire, and having to forgo his dream. He wanted to own the moon, but he ended up being owned by the organization he built. The man Bowie meets had similar dreams of owning the world, but he understood that in order to remain in control, the way to go is not to buy the world, but rather to sell it. That is, not to become part of the system and try to reach its head, but rather to find a way to remain on the outside. This man is thought to be dead by conformed society because he never let himself belong to any of its categories, and always kept himself under the radar, unbound by society's conventions.
I laughed and shook his hand and made my way back home. I searched for home and land. For years and years I roamed.
The protagonist is merely amused at first, and goes back to his regular life after the conversation is over. But the meeting plants a seed in his mind. He wants to be as free and happy as that man, and he begins to search for the secret of that life. He looks for something solid, a form of happy living, a land of happiness, but years of search seemingly produce nothing.
I gazed a gazeless stare at all the millions here. We must have died alone a long, long time ago.
Looking at society, it now seems to him that it is actually we, the normal people, who are dead, even if we don't realize it. We live in our predetermined boxes, conforming to society's norms, and we think that this is real life, when actually we are living a fake existence. It seems that we are all dead. Or are we?
Who knows? Not me. We never lost control.
No, not all of us are dead. The hero now talks about a different kind of we. Not society as a whole, but a group of people who managed to remain free and real. And he himself, we now learn, belongs to this group as well. After all these years of searching for form and land, he finally found them. Or maybe he didn't, but actually realized that it is the fact that he never committed himself to any form and land that brought him freedom. He doesn't tell us, and leaves it for us to figure out for ourselves. Be it as it may, he is now the man who stops us when we pass him upon the stair, and tells us that there's another way of life out there. In The Man Who Sold the World, I feel, Bowie is beginning to come out of his songwriter/storyteller guise to adopt the stance of a prophet and a leader. Until now, his writing was the knife that cuts through every argument, attacking both sides, suggesting that there might be a third way. Now, he wants to become the knife, not committing to any side, living out the third way and setting the example. Until now, in the collective consciousness of youth culture, it was thought that the young person has only two options: either burn out or rust. In other words, either conform to society's norms and live a long but dull life, or rebel and live an intense and authentic existence, but an existence that cannot last for long. Bowie's records of this period are full of people of the second type, but this record, I believe, reveals that his intention is to be smarter than them. He wants to live an intense and free existence, remaining in control of his destiny, and drag it out as long as he can. The Man Who Sold the World will become one of Bowie's trademark songs throughout his career, and I believe the reason for it is that it is one of his personal manifestos, expressing what he aspired to achieve.